lot more than I'm making now. Had great benefits. And I decided I want to go make a big buck. Got to know the Garcia's family from Nevada. Go figure. They lived in Battle Mountain, Nevada, 45 miles away from my hometown where I was born. John and I hit it off right off the bat. It's like he was a mirror image of me. He had a very rough childhood. Their family had a very rough time. But that's their story to tell. All I can tell you is, after everything they've been through, John and Tia, some of the strongest people I know, some of the kind-hearted, most welcoming people I know. They welcomed me into their home. I barely knew them. I barely met them. And I moved. I literally packed up and put everything in the back of my truck. My heavy bag, the stand. I had a sleep number bed at the time that broke apart perfectly, and I put it all in the cab. All of my belongings, I loaded up into a 2001 Nissan Frontier. Not that big of a truck. And I left with what I thought was just enough money for gas. I barely made it, running on fumes. John came out and met me, welcomed me. We went out shooting the first day. God, that guy was like the older brother I never had. He had a six-pack. We went out, took a 6mm and a 7mm rifle. Let me tell you, that 7mm rifle kicks. He was warning me, don't get too close to the scope. You're going to catch yourself. And at this point, I don't know how much of you knew, I actually used to wear glasses. I was blind until I was about in 5th grade. I didn't even know I was blind. And the first time I put glasses on, I just remember crying. It was right there across or down the road from Burger King, Valley Eye Care. Osborne has been my eye doctor since I started going to the eye doctor. And the clarity that came to me after putting on those glasses was just surreal. But I also always would get those huge, like, aviator style, pretty much birth control glasses. And the lady that would sell the glasses to us all the time would tell my mom, are you really going to let your son do this? That's social suicide. She says, I can't stop him. He's going to do what he wants. And those glasses saved me. I did. I got a little close, but they hit the big old frame. And I was like, oh, that's what you meant. And he was laughing and talking crap. And he goes to shoot. And boom! To this day, he's got a crescent of a moon right on his forehead. Oh, that story brings me so much joy. Just because I was with somebody, and it's not that he got hurt, or it's just the way it all went down. And not just that, after something like that happened, he laughed about it. At that point, I knew and I could tell, this guy's been hurt. He's dealt with a lot. And I just wish I wasn't so drowned in sin at the point. Because I feel like I added more bad, and I influenced alcoholism into his life. Instead of, when I first moved there, I was still like more committed to God than I was to the world. Like I had just gotten done with all these church classes and being with my friends. I was with a good group of people. Yeah, we used to drink alcohol and hang out, but I always justified it and said it was okay. But at the same time, we had a safe space. We weren't out in the world doing crazy things. Okay, that's a lie. We did a lot of crazy things. Nora, we put you through a lot, and I'm sorry. But it was always met with kindness, which actually just reminded me of something. When I was younger, I took apart a shotgun, airsoft shotgun. It shoots about 300 feet per second. And I was I think I could coil a few of these springs together and try to get a little more juice out of it. I did that, and it's very hard for me to cock. But I could do it if I tried. And I was the only one that could do it. None of my friends could do it. And my friend Paco came over, and I didn't see he had his little sister. I opened the door, and I just whipped it up and tried to hit fire and shoot him. And I caught her right in the middle of the forehead. My heart shot through my butt all the way down. I didn't know what to do. The airsoft was stuck in her head. He went home, sister screaming and crying. Every time in my life, and I have stories for days that I did bad things, I was always met with love. Why? I didn't deserve it. I don't deserve it. I would be terrified. I was terrified when I walked over his house, but I knew that I had to go over there and apologize. And I went, and I was met with love. They forgave me immediately. They just warned me to be more careful about what I do. I just hurt their child, their 3-year-old child. How many of you could say you would have been that kind to a stranger? Or not a stranger, but just a kid. A careless kid. There were many things I took apart. I have always had this knack for taking things apart, trying to see how they work. Just trying to understand them. And now I see this world really isn't that different. It's a whole lot of the same things, just kind of layered over itself. And which is what I ended up learning when I got further into work. I started working in gold mines, fast forward to I was 20 years old, which is why I left Moslake Industries. I went to Nevada to work in gold mines over there. And the first mine I worked at was pretty cool. It was a surface mine. Got to drive a lot of heavy equipment. And at this point, I just want to make sure I let you guys know that I have always still been a uppity person, and I would still talk about God like crazy. Like my faith in God, I always vocalize, but my actions, they didn't back it up. And it was fun working there. John's mom was like the kind of second in command there. There was only like 8 of us. It was a small mine. They have so many mines up there, riddled through the mountains. And we ended up getting laid off because the guy who was running it was an environmentalist, and he didn't quite understand. He talked a big game, but had no idea of pressures. To put it shortly, for those of you who understand pressures, he bought a 100 psi pipe for 1,000 psi waterway, and expected us to put it together and expected it to work. It's not going to work. Halfway building it, he called it off, and then let us know that this was the last week of work. I didn't even have a chance to be upset, because immediately I was told that there was another mine I can go work at in Elko. And that was Queen State at the time, Queen State Gold. And looking back, how blessed I was with all the jobs that I was given, I'm so thankful to God for the people He put in my life and the ability He's given me, things to see. But I believe there is a real reason for it. Because out there I was making good money. I was working tons of overtime, 140-something hours every 2 weeks. There was a point where I would just claim exempt and I'd have $5,000 to just play around with. But the whole time I was working, I would always send money to my family. Because my mom was in debt, she was drowning in debt. And I would try to help her pay things off. I ended up buying a new car for her to pay off, and I finally paid it off. But that was a huge battle. And taking on other people's struggles, you just make them weak. You stop their growth. I was more of a poison to my family than I was any help. They became so reliant on my help. And to cope with it, I just drank and drank and drank. And then weed started creeping in as well, and I started smoking. But even though I was working in a mine 50 miles or so, about an hour drive up into the mountains, middle of nowhere, and I'm talking about this is where you find, for lack of better words, but the scum of people at that moment in their life. I'm not saying they're forever that way or we're always that way, but when they become scum, that is where they gather. They get the money to have what they need and also have their habits. Can't tell you how many times I had to stay late because they found a meth pipe in a loader. You're trying to take naps in those buses, you can't do that. Those buses weren't built for big people like me. My arms started going to sleep, feet going numb. I was blessed in the fact that I didn't smoke cigarettes. When I showed up to this new mine, they asked us and a few other new hires, right, who smokes? And because I was the only one, they put me in the best position. I got to go in the refinery. Technically, I was a solution operator, or the technical term is a stripper. And in college, I don't know if you remember Nora, but not in college, in high school, I told the Catholic Church, all of them, that I planned to be a stripper to pay through college. God gave it a whole new meaning. I spent countless hours stripping gold from carbon for this company. But the thing is, wherever there's gold, there's mercury, there's arsenic. It just comes with it, naturally. I used to have to pee in a jug and fill up a gallon of pee every month, once a month, so they could check my mercury levels to make sure I wasn't putting myself in danger and I wasn't going to get mercury poisoning. Because once they call it Mad Hatter's disease, once that starts happening, eyes start turning yellow, skin starts turning yellow, hair falls off, nails fall off. You just start going insane. And around all of this, it was like a dark, eerie place, and I literally just spent all day filling a pill that's 2 stories tall with 6 tons of carbon, pumping 250 gallons of cyanide, and checking the solution to see when they would, as they called it, became pregnant with gold, so it was the preg solution. Then I would switch it over, and it would go and get caught either through the electrowinning process or the Merrill-Crowe system, which is the old school system. Blow it down into a tank, hit it with acid, try to get rid of impurities, and then help the boss, Derek Del Sardo, crazy Italian man. And he used to be a bodybuilder, he worked at a Gold's Gym all the time. This man had ferocious strength, but when I met him, he looked like a twig. He was suffering, he was losing weight and he couldn't stop it. And even though he still had the strength of an ox and the faith of, I can't even say what, it was just unbelievable. He shared with me his testimonies and his stories and why he has faith in God. And I couldn't believe that I found a man of God in such an awful place. Somebody to guide me and show me new ways to control my strength in my body. New reason, new purpose. He could literally go up to a pole, anywhere, and just flagpole, grab it, and he would just be like, can you still do this? Nope, all right, looks like you're not strong enough yet. Keep working on it, bud. And he was a positive influence. There were people there that worked with me that almost killed me. One day I showed up and I ran up the stairs, 2 flights of stairs to get to the top. They had like a food grade heat exchanger because they didn't want to spend the money on a new one. And it would constantly leak because it would get plugged up. The cyanide would mix with some of the slurry and it would mix with something else in there, and it ended up creating ammonia clouds. And we had ammonia sensors everywhere, cyanide sensors. And I go up and I hear beeping, and I'm like, oh, it must be a little high, because sometimes it goes off. There's a sensor right next to it. I collapsed because I was wearing my mercury cartridges and I had no idea I was about to walk into a cloud of ammonia. I threw myself down the stairs and ran down and switched the cartridges and came back up and gave that dude an earful because he was just sitting in the office watching movies, not paying attention to the process, to this 2-story grenade that could literally wipe out everybody else in the mill. There was another time a fellow wasn't really paying attention, and the pill is not supposed to exceed 120 psi. It's the way it was designed. It has pressure relief, but it had so much buildup and slurry. And I don't know if you guys have messed with clay, but it can get hard. And he was supposed to go crack the bypass to let air come out, and closed it. I came back and the pressure was over 200. I sprinted and I slapped that pipe open. The whole building started shaking. I was calm through it all. Both situations. That strength was not my own. And why was I there? What if somebody else was there? How would that have gone? Those people for sure would have probably still did what they did, knowing that. But after I came back, and I brought the alcoholism level 10 with me, and I started training jiu-jitsu and diving crazy into it. And I got so caught up in it. There was a point where I literally was embarrassing people who had been doing it their whole life. Because God had gifted me with something so strong, and I never lost faith in it. I have had people put it into my mind and remind me. And I went to tournaments, I competed, and I always beat everybody I wasn't supposed to beat. I'm talking about wipe the floor with them. And then those that I was supposed to just destroy, I was lost to. I could never understand it. Now I do. It's pride. Me trying to be prideful. God was trying to humble me. And that's okay. I accept it. And shortly after, I ended up starting to decline in my health. Right when I was at my peak, when I was at my strongest, I literally could grab a 400-pound man and make him feel like he was a child. That power was so amazing. I went to a tournament, didn't have nobody in my weight class. Which, by the way, I used to struggle to cut weight. There was a year where I literally went through about 150 to 200 pounds of weight because I would cut down from 250 to 205. And then after I competed, I would just gluttony it up, blow back up. And then I would cut weight all over again for the next tournament. And I would get back down. And I always used to think my body, I was like, oh yeah, my body can jump in between 240 to 215 pretty easily. No, that's not natural. And that's not a good thing to put your body through. But then came when I was finally ready to give my life to Christ. He started taking everything away. I strongly believe I ended up getting what Derek Dolsaro got. It was a dirty water bacteria called H. pylori. It stays in your system. You don't even know about it. It eats away your stomach linings, carcinogen. I might get cancer. But after looking back at all the things that I've had, whatever comes my way, I'm going to walk into it full of faith. I no longer worry about what's going to come. Because where I was and where it brought me down, it stripped everything from me, all the strength. I couldn't grab things. When I worked out, I had no strength. I didn't get sore. I got injured. My joints, my body, everything started to fail me. It came to a point where if you walked in front of me, I would see a tracer. Like it was you walking continuously. I went to the doctors. They didn't have an answer. They kept telling me it was this and that, or you have nothing going on. I think you might need to go get checked out mentally or figure something else out. I had gone to 6 different doctors. On the 6th one, after I thought I had Lyme disease, cancer, AIDS, like they tested me for all kinds of things. They couldn't explain it. And they would just tell me, you're overtraining, you're blah, blah, blah. And I just knew that wasn't the case. I felt like I was developing ulcers. I went on a sleep apnea machine because I couldn't breathe in my sleep. I got to the point where I would wake up every 10 to 15 minutes. I never got real rest. I was going insane. All the demons from my past eating away at me as well. And the 6th doctor finally said, we're going to need a poo sample and a breath sample from you because I think I know what you have. Boom, she got it. And I got the antibiotics, and I took them. And it was a 2-week course to get rid of it, but also on the very last day I took the last set of pills, I had a national tournament that I was going to in Las Vegas. Oh boy, I wasn't going to miss out on that. The first match, I was disqualified because I guess I did some kind of illegal slam of some sorts, I'm not sure. But I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like I had no ill will or nothing about it. The guy even told me, he's like, dude, that was a sweet double. It was great, a little Brazilian guy. And he was little, he was my size. But then the rest of that day, I continued to compete, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't able to feel myself. My stomach wasn't working. My body was destroyed. And instead of listening to what he was trying to tell me, I went out there and tried to force it. Yeah, I ended up getting second twice. I got second twice. I could have probably done better, but I kept going. But when I look back, I got second twice while I was dying. I don't even care now. And at the end of it, I took everybody down and I would explode, I'd shoot it, explode, come up with the left leg. My left leg ended up swelling up. And for a while, I couldn't see the middle muscle on my leg. My whole leg turned purple and swollen. And on the second day of competition, I remember my coach, and there's a black belt with us and a few friends were looking at my thigh like, are you sure you're gonna go today? Like, you sure you want to? Me being so hard-headed and egotistical, I said, yeah. Popped a few more ibuprofen, like I did the night before, which I believe was the big guy upstairs giving me a helping hand, because those ibuprofen PM slowly started to throttle me down. The first match I went out, I won, submitted the guy. The second match, I just got choked for a straight minute. I thought the guy was coming in low, and he was, and I thought I was getting low, but my body wasn't working right. And I was literally standing straight up, but in my mind, I was like, my butt was near the ground. He just jumped on me and choked me for like a minute. Finally, after everything started going black, I was like, all right, man, you got me, good job. And came home. Had to take antibiotics again because the first course didn't work. Come to find out, they only have a 70% success rate. Now that I started to heal at this point, I ended up buying a house for my family. And I moved them all in, and I figured, why are we paying house? Why am I helping them pay to the government when no one's going to get anything out of it later when they're living in government housing, which we have our whole lives since we moved over here. And I took it upon myself to buy them a new home and try to make it work, force everything to work. Chino had developed a massive drug addiction, and I was trying to help him. But it was there that I finally surrendered to God. When I was working on that house, I tore everything. I gutted the whole thing, tore out every single outlet, every single piece of molding, all the walls. I just went to town. And there was a point where I just went in between this corner where I knew nobody could see me, no light could hit me. I broke down crying, and I told God, I surrender to you. My plans don't work. And I've seen what you can do. I remember how happy I was in high school when I had good friends and I was working at developing my faith. That's what I want to go back into. That's what I want to grow. Or that's where the area I want to grow in. And shortly after, my wife came into my life, and we've been inseparable ever since. I got the courage to do what I had to do and tell Israel, I'm sorry, Gino, you have to go to one of these places that I give them a list to. Maybe we can try to get you help here, or you have to go. And he left. He lived at a crack house for a while, and then he just struggled for a long time, and I used to hold that against myself. But he's doing better now. And that's also because here at this very place we prayed for him. Bud and Hazel, we prayed for him. He ended up moving back down to Nevada. He got a job down there, and he's doing a lot better. Got away from the people from here. But now, again, my body is healing. I'm getting better because I finally surrendered to him, and he's helped me find what I needed to find. And these last 3 years of my life have been the most amazing years of my life since I told him, I surrender to you, I'm ready to be your warrior, were my exact words. I always knew that whatever I was going to do in this world had to do something with the body and understanding. Reading Romans, finding out about how we are all the body of Christ. Just how our body has different things that push and pull. provide different purposes. We all provide different purposes. And if we have something that is bad, broken, needs attention, we need to give it attention. We need to try to fix it, or we need to get rid of it, whatever it may be. But either way, God can give us the strength to deal with it. At this point, went back to train recently. I'm feeling like that same strength has come back. But I don't feel that I need to go compete. I don't feel that I need to hurt anybody. Because let me tell you guys something. When you train in great violence, you learn that you don't have to be. And when those who are out there that try to be to you, you don't have to meet them with the same thing. You can walk away from things. And also you have the capability to defend yourself if anybody tries anything. But you don't have to be that. All of the bad that's happened in my life was just the pain of God chiseling and working. I accept that wholeheartedly. I didn't understand much back then. And this is what I could summarize now. Because I, just as much as you guys, could stand up here probably and talk all day about the things that have happened to us and how we've grown. And that's why I'm so happy I'm here, to have people that understand. It's what's given me the strength and ability to bring it all out. And not hold it in and grow. Because, again, you let stress take over, you never give yourself time to recover, you're just killing yourself. I have one passage, or not actually, it's quite a little bit of reading, but this is what stood out to me. My whole life, I've been told I should be a pastor of some sort, a priest, a father. I need to be giving my life to the Lord and fall. What I thought, what my broken mind would make me think, was fall into this legalism of religion. That's not the case. I would always tell God, I can't do that. I'm not going to be a father. I want to get married. I want to have a wife. You just help me work through the fact that I want a wife. Okay? The whole world is trying to tell me that I am gay and this and that. And no, I want a wife. I want a life in the future to be happy about. And I might not be a priest, pastor, or father, but I have my whole life gone out into the world and did my best at that time to show the love of Christ to most people wouldn't. And it was when I came across this, I found that my whole life, my story, is just an echo. It's already happened. It's happened to so many. It's not me standing up here trying to get you guys to feel sorry for me or anything. It's just me bringing up the truths of this world, what's really out there. So, Corinthians 9. I will start at 16. For if I preach the gospel, I have nothing to boast of, for I am under compulsion. For woe is me if I do not preach the gospel. For if I do this voluntarily, I have a reward, but if against my will, I have stewardship entrusted to me. What then is my reward? That when I preach the gospel, I may offer the gospel without charge, so as not to make full use of my right in the gospel. For though I am free from all men, I have made myself a slave to all, so that I may win more. To the Jews I became as a Jew, so that I might win Jews. To those who were under the law, as under the law, though not being myself under the law, so that I might win those who are under the law. To those who are without law, as without law, though not being without the law of God, but under the law of Christ, so that I might win those who are without the law. To the weak, I became weak. All those times I lost, I felt the pity. not the pity, excuse me, but the sorrow. I can't tell you how many times, even in high school, I got yelled at by my coach. There was a guy I was beating 15-0 in wrestling. All of his teammates, everybody abandoned him. And all I had to do was take him down and I could win. I went in for the ugliest takedown, and my face got caught on his boob. He was a heavyweight man. And I literally passed out and collapsed. And he fell on top of me and pinned me. He beat me 0-15. I sat up and I laughed. Oh, my coaches weren't happy with that. That I might win the weak, I have become all things to all men, so that I may by all means save some. I do all things for the sake of the gospel, so that I may become a fellow partaker of it. Do you not know those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win. Everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control. In all things they do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. Therefore I run in such a way as not without aim. I box in such a way as not beating the air. But I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified. I found out why I love to work out. All those things that happened to me and gave me such strong faith and strength also come at a high price. And if I don't learn to control them, I'll keep falling into sin and I'll just continue to die. I train hard and I will always train hard so that I may be able to say what needs to be said, which is what I prayed for. And before doing this, I actually ran. I ran here. A few years ago, if I tried to run, I felt like my body was decaying and falling apart, like I was telling you guys earlier. And here comes a great praise, and this is how I'm going to end it. I ran 17 miles today, and I feel great. Thank you. Sorry that took so long. I didn't realize.
Well, there's something about what voice are you going to listen to? So it's a matter of what we're going to do going forward and how we can be in a position to try to look for those who don't have a voice. There's a lot of single parents in our community, and there's a lot of young children that are being exploited, being groomed. James talks about pure religion in the eyes of the Lord is